The Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast.
Coming to you out of SideQuest Studios, this is The Simpsons Index, episode 296. Hello out there, I'm your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill, joined here as always, except when he's not, by BT Calloway.
Sorry, the episode number gave me a head spin.
And also joined by David Molloy. And thank you for joining us for The Simpsons Index. We review Simpsons and receive t-shirts sometimes. That's awesome.
Sometimes open cans.
Grip it and rip it, baby.
And Cracker Max. Sorry, the episode number I should have said was episode CCXCVI.
I don't speak Latin.
Well done.
Yeah, and today we are reviewing an episode of Roman Proportions. But before we hook into the episode review, we turn to our returning champions and ask, David, have you been keeping up with The Simpsons since you were last on, new or old or otherwise?
I've not been keeping up with a great deal lately owing to parenting and illness. This is probably the thing I've kept up with the least.
Out of all the previous fandoms in your life.
Out of all things.
Well, I mean, any Simpsons references in Cyberpunk that you noticed, or?
Oh, possibly, actually. Yeah. I mean, you would kind of assume that there's got to be, something buried in there somewhere, just
Surely,
given the overall...
we've not forgotten The Simpsons of the year 2077, and it's probably still on.
Yeah. I mean, it isn't that far away. Like, we are closer to Cyberpunk 2077 when we are to the beginning
Johnny
of The Simpsons.
Silverhand, what are you doing in Springfield?
It is quite upsetting to be playing Cyberpunk 2077 in the year of our Lord 2025, where it feels a little too real.
Yeah.
But still, good fun.
Yeah, well, and speaking of things that reference a different time, anyway, smooth segues as always.
Look, it would have been if you committed.
Yeah.
It was the self-doubt that ruined you, Elliot.
Exactly.
You need some ambition.
Every shot.
If only there was a story that could highlight that.
You got to get fucking chromed up, get in the game, clip some eddies off some fool, get to your local Ripper Dog.
I have no idea what he just said.
Well, I mean, I had little idea of what this episode was saying as well, which is why I'm glad I brought some, I'm assuming, history buffs along the ride with me today.
Not great on ancient Rome, not gonna lie.
Bitch, I did extension history and I did the period of the 4 emperors.
Oh, thank fuck.
Yeah, boy. Finally, that knowledge has come good.
I was just like, oh, what of the season 30s have we got left? Oh, Molloy's got some Italian heritage. This might work.
That's why I'm here.
Our token Italian,
Psych.
Thank you.
The WOG vote. That's what got me.
Your words.
Yeah, exactly. Don't you fucking say it.
We just reviewed... we're about to review. We just watched season 32, episode 2, Carumbus. First released in October of 2020, it was directed by Rob Oliver, written by Cesar Mazariegos. In this episode, it's like one of The Simpsons, we're retelling a story from history, and this time they're doing the story of I, Claudius, and Caligula. Hey guys, what'd you think?
I was very apprehensive going in this one. We had the, thumbnail up on Disney Plus, and I'm like, Simpsons period piece. Are they doing like the Surfsons, where inexplicably the whole episode is just in feudal times for no reason? It's never really explained why we're in medieval.
It is a joy to not get your reference.
Yeah. It's not like a bad episode, but it's just confusing as to why they did that. Whereas, fortunately, this one does have a framing device and actually, is someone telling the story but just using Simpsons characters. I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, it was a fine time. And I kind of put this in the, Simpsons Bible stories thing, where it's like, it's not the best episode, but, it's one that makes me feel smarter, because it's like, oh, I've learned a story from history, but it's used this cartoon that I'm familiar with.
Love that.
How about you, Molloy?
Yeah, I didn't land that positive on it. And it's like, I get that thing of also, especially it being, The Simpsons, and historical accuracy is by no means the point of it, nor should it be. What struck me as strange was not that it was, not following the stories of that particular period in Rome's history, but more that it was doing Gladiator.
Right.
And what year did this come out?
2020.
Okay.
Yeah. At the tail end of that end.
Let's do a cheeky Google for when I saw Gladiator in the cinema when I was in high school.
Well, that's like 1996.
And my Wi-Fi doesn't work here, so
96. That seems early.
It's not 96. I was going to say 2001, 2002, maybe.
Gladiator movie, not 2000.
There you go, 2000. Yeah, so a 25-year-old movie that itself was a remake of Spartacus, if you really think about it.
I mean, isn't everything just a remake of Spartacus?
I mean,
I'm
sure,
a remake of Spartacus.
But like you could
was waiting
definitely
for that, and thank you.
You could for sure make that argument, but like especially early on, it really follows the beats, and it's like Fat Tony is clearly like the Oliver Stone stand-in from Gladiator.
Well,
like,
to take kind of a flip on that, I didn't realize this was the story of like Caligula, so I was just like,
well, the
it is
reason
just
for that,
a story.
the reason
and I
for
was
that
fine
is
with
that it's not.
Yeah. Well, it's fine. But I mean, I'm not worrying about any historical inaccuracies in terms of parallel because I was not aware this was a parallel to be compared to. I thought this is just a story, and I'm like, I like stories.
I set this up because that's what the Wikipedia article said, and I couldn't be bothered surmising this episode.
But I think that, that, again, it's that, like, Elliot failing to commit to that bit before is what's ruined this episode already. And it's like, and I think that way about this is that they're failing to commit to the one story that they're parodying, and so they're doing Spartacus and Gladiator and I, Claudius and Caligula and also pretty much anything else ever done in Rome and also Macbeth.
Yeah,
so
maybe
it's a bit of a pastiche and a bit of a fusion of a bunch of things.
We have said that out about a few of the big swings they've taken. Is if they just committed a little harder, it probably would have worked.
Yeah. But I mean, that aside, I felt like there were actually some solid jokes throughout this whole thing.
We got room laughs, entire room.
Yeah, and even that's such a rarity these days.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Just like the amount of times that we've been sitting in a room watching these things, and it's just been crickets the whole time. Like, it is refreshing to know they are capable of an actual LOL joke these days. All right, well, let's hook into the question. BT, what stands out to you from this episode, for better or worse?
I kind of think I want to dwell on a little bit is in the middle of this, there's a song that's done all in Latin.
Yeah, so it's a parody of Moving On Up. I think it's the theme song from the Jeffersons.
Well, thing is, I have mixed feels about this because, yes, it's all in Latin, but A, that's commitment to the bit. They don't, they're not using, like, paraphrase Latin where, like, what is it, Odysseus is the main character. They just stick to it. I'm like, and also I can get from context of, they're showing the family moving to better digs. I get in context what this transition is, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm also not laughing.
Yeah.
So
it was nice to see Belle and Sebastian back, like to have their new moment.
Yeah. So it mixed feels on that because it's like, I appreciate what you're doing, but it's also not really a joke, but it's also reasonably brief.
It's one of those things where they're asking us, I think I've said this before in another episode, they're asking us to do research I'm not willing to do because like I can't see inherently what the joke is that they're doing. It's not like a familiar song. It's not Latin words that seem like an obvious parallel that I'm going to pick up as an audience member. And I'm just not going to look up the translation because I don't care. Like,
I think I'm split on, I'm impressed they went for it, but I'm not into it because I didn't get a laugh.
Yes, yeah.
Like, hey, you did the thing, but...
And thank you for at least, like giving the audience that, like, we're going to do a joke in Latin. And if you want to do that research, that's there for you. But again, I don't think they've earned the sort of additional input from me.
Yeah, it might not hit as hard for us Australians as well, because, there's a certain bunch of sitcoms that just weren't a deal here. And, I only know the song because of it's been referenced on other things. It's
I had no idea.
I'd never seen Sanford and Son, but thanks to other American sitcoms.
Never heard of that.
That's the theme song, the da-da-da-da. Yeah, see, we all know it because it's been referenced in that many things. And same with Moving On Up. And I get it from that cultural thing, but I mean, they don't necessarily have to write for a wide audience, but also...
Or that great classic hit, Pump Up the Jams. If you're a Kunk fan.
So what was that other song that was in the credits about the Romans, and it was like a swinging song?
Something about Roman holiday?
Yeah, I feel like this was written for the show and they just didn't have anywhere else to put it, so they chucked it in the credits.
And it also felt like another sitcom reference.
Maybe,
Anyway, well, how about you, David? What stands out to you from this episode, for better or worse?
Yeah, I think a lot of things just kind of bounced around again. When they brought out Bart as Bartigula, I was like, okay, that's good, but you've already, literally the most famous thing about Caligula was that he made his horse a senator.
Yeah.
And you've already cracked that joke and attributed it to someone else.
Quimby,
I just don't understand. It just feels so... throwing spaghetti at the wall and then picking different strands of spaghetti and going,
I guess
that's Bart.
Reference.
Yeah,
this is why we had to bring
that's why you
in.
brought me in. Exactly. A bit of fettuccine at the wall and and then picking that off and ascribing it to a character. It just seems so slapdash. And that thing of going, we're using as much history as is here, basically just to come up with pun names for characters, and then the rest of it is just Macbeth.
Yep.
Whereas, like, you know, there's a great capacity to do something more fun with that period. We've seen Gladiator, we've seen Macbeth. Jesus Christ, we've seen Macbeth. But, like, I don't think I've seen anyone do the Year of the Four Emperors. So this was basically a year in which, like, this was successively Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, and Nero, which was, you know, kind of iconically seen as like the real fall of Rome, because it was, you know, after Caesar had consolidated power and then been betrayed and blah, blah, blah. You get the succession of tyrants who are all completely different tyrants for completely different reasons, but all of them signifying why this empire is falling apart. That's your opportunity to have Bart as Bartigular, and then 3 other characters who are Tiberius, Claudius, and Nero, and have them play out these, you know, like heightened, ridiculous Simpsons versions of, you know, effectively what we're seeing happen on the American world stage right now anyway. Like, that just feels like a straightforward, like, slam dunk, and they just chose to go for an easier joke.
Sure. And, like, I think that would also still tie into the whole theme of this episode, setting up the, you know, the folly of ambition, I guess, is what they're trying to set up here. Like, and I think that's what's
the folly of ambitious women.
Yeah. Because, that's actually, honestly, the thing that doesn't quite work for me about this one is that it is set up with this whole thing in, you know, Simpsons time that Marge is angry at Homer because he won't attend this seminar that could possibly get him a promotion at the nuclear plant. And then they tell a story of this manipulative woman who makes her husband ice people on his way to the top and betray his friends and do horrible things. And it is like a real false equivalency. And like, it's kind of mean to Marge.
They don't hang too much on that. I do like it. This does end with the family arguing over the moral of it all because, you know, there isn't a direct one-to-one between themselves and the story.
Yeah. Well, and Marge just pointing out that obviously it's like, I just wanted him to attend a seminar.
Yeah, like there's ambition and then there's murder people ambition.
Yeah. There's do more than the bare minimum.
Yeah.
So was there this, like, I forgot the character's name, but the Marge equivalent of the Roman part of the story. Was there this woman behind Claudius that was doing all this manipulating and...
I mean, no. But also, like, you know, Claudius followed on from Caligula. He wasn't the person who took out Caligula. Caligula was taken out by a lot of people because he made a lot of people angry.
Oh, okay. So I was just guessing from the title that, like, again, because I'm not familiar with these stories. So who is Obesius meant to be?
I don't know. Spartacus. He was meant to be Spartacus. Again, who doesn't really, like, fit into this narrative. I'm not as familiar with, like, the text of Claudius, but, like, Claudius is interesting as a historical figure because he is quite divisive in terms of, like, who and what he actually was, because some people saw him as tyrannical, some people saw him as simple. Like, it's entirely possible that he was, like, you know, in some way, like, neurologically hampered, like he, you know, had some sort of disability. That's the way he's presented, almost in a kind of, like, you know, Richard III sort of, like, way, that he was either in some way, like, mentally or physically impaired. But there's other people who see him as this genius who was, like, you know, basically playing off the image of himself being weak to consolidate his own power. So again, like, an ambitious character, an interesting character, nothing to do with Obesius. That was the other thing I think that just struck me as lazy and cheap was... You could have, like, every other joke was... So they had their whiteboard that was, you know, Roman history, Gladiator, the various different cultural references points.
Yeah.
And then they're sort of like, okay, let's just chuck some gags in here. And they flip the whiteboard over. It's one of those ones with 2 sides. And the other side of the whiteboard just says, fat.
Yeah.
And that's everything in the episode. Like...
Yeah, it was... Like, also weird to, like, be calling him Obesius and making fat jokes in the period of the episode where he was, like, jacked and, like, doing well at gladiator shit.
Yeah.
Like...
Elliot, I think she would be a reference to Livia, who was married to Tiberius. Just to make life confusing, his full name is Tiberius Claudius Nero, but not that Nero. or that Claudius.
He is 3 of the 4 emperors
I know,
by
it's
name alone.
So not only are there 4 emperors, but there's also one that has 3 of their names.
No, so
just to fuck with you.
So Tiberius was basically like a former general who pulled off a military coup and took over, and then was killed for being a militant dictator. Then came Caligula, who was either again completely cuckoo or like just a very clever psycho who hated everyone around him and was constantly making jokes at their expense, who was killed for that reason.
Your comedy ain't funny.
Claudius, apparently like a pretty good leader, potentially in some way disabled, which prejudiced people against him, and then eventually a plot was carried out against him. He was taken out. And then came Nero, who was like, a Clockwork Orange. Like Nero was the one.
Fiddle while Rome burned.
Fiddle while Rome burned, and literally would walk around the streets of Rome with his droogies looking for a little bit of the old ultra-violence. Like, he is 100% Clockwork Orange.
Wow.
Legitimately. So it was a crazy time.
And just to kind of reference where I got my reference on, I looked it up from based on a line from that historical document, Almost Famous, where the kid goes, "Tell me more about Livia," and she's like, "Oh, she killed everyone so Tiberius could inherit the throne." So that's where I got that Google search from.
Well, yeah, and I'm sorry to anyone out there that is a real whiz at this.
Who is currently having a hemorrhage.
Yeah, I mean,
probably upsetting some history buffs as well, because I'm talking about stuff that I, learned in high school in 2006.
But yeah, we clearly haven't spent as much time thinking about the Roman Empire as apparently a lot of men out there.
Oh, you got to do it.
To anyone who's upset, shut up, you nerd.
But apparently, I don't know this guy, but Michael Duncan was a consultant on this episode, and he's apparently a big Roman history podcaster.
Michael Clark Duncan?
No, Michael William Duncan. They legally distinct. Yeah.
Damn.
He'd do a great podcast.
He's a big
Oh,
man.
Yeah. His podcast, The History of Rome, apparently.
Damn, I do want to hear that podcast now.
It's
Michael Clark Duncan's voice, though.
Oh, God, that would have been good.
Just real soothing.
R.I.P. But who did appear in this episode, though, as guest voices was, of course, we mentioned before, Fat Tony, of course, Joe Mantegna as Gordus Antonius was his character's name, and also playing the narrator of this thing was Michael Palin.
Yeah. I knew it was a familiar voice, but also, again, for someone so beloved and renowned as both a historian, documentarian, and a lovable comedy icon, really massively underused. I don't think he even got a joke in there.
I mean, I also like... Because this era of Simpsons guest stars is so often they play themselves.
Yeah, what are you doing here, Michael Palin?
Yeah, and I really like he's playing a character. And if you know, you know, and if you don't, that's fine.
Yeah. But when asked about what it was like to work on The Simpsons, he said he loved it, and he said it was pretty much like going to Buckingham Palace, except not quite as funny.
All right, that's
Bless
something,
that
I guess.
man.
He's a good man. He's one of the pythons we can hold on to with both hands.
They're either dropping like flies because they die, or because they
just
culturally
died in our minds. Yeah.
All right, but was this a particularly wacky episode of The Simpsons? How were the cartoony moments in this thing?
Look, Burns does vomit up his own brain.
Yep.
He sure did. Yeah. This was one of the first times actually because we talked about the blood in the Scottish episode, if you will. We won't refer to it by name. We talked about the blood, and then you were talking about how there's that kind of dissonance with it, right? This was the first time I really felt that, because as soon as they went into the Colosseum, I was like, oh, this is going to get real bloody, and it felt weird, and not in a way that was like disgusting or unnecessary. I mean, unnecessary, but like not in an upsetting way, just in a, why is this here? Like,
there was the first bit where, because, I do like the kind of point that this version of Homer has grown up being basically a bull ox pulling a plow, and so he's super good at that. So that his first gladiatorial opponent, he just drags. But you do see the line of red forming behind him way before it's a joke.
Yeah. And like it builds up and gets redder like the more he goes on with the plow, and then lifts up the Rainier Wolf Castle stand in, and they're like, no face.
I think if you'd made the same joke with no blood, it would have been funny. funnier.
Would have been fine.
Because
yeah.
then it also would have surprised you when he pulled you up and there's just the skeleton face.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, true.
Which would have been wackier as well.
Yeah, this is a little different because it is a story within The Simpsons, not blood within The Simpsons itself.
Yeah,
So-
but it is the whole,
Yeah.
when it's not Treehouse of Horror, it does feel weird, even in these historical ones that they do. Like, I'm trying to remember. I think Simpsons Bible Stories was a fairly bloodless affair as well.
Yeah, usually they do. Even when they're cutting someone in half, it's usually a swing and there's a spurt, and that's about it.
That's like the only fun stuff in the Bible, though. You've got to keep that. You've got to keep that in.
But Bible goes some places.
Bible goes, man. Not enough people are saying this. The Bible goes hard.
Check it out. Get the unrated version.
The Snyder cut.
They let children read this thing.
They make children read this thing.
But, I mean, in terms of the violence as well, I think after that gladiator scene, it is a lot more cartoony. Like when they're talking about Odysseus's rise to power and how he dissolves the Senate and he just literally gets a vat of acid to dissolve them.
And they dissolve like peeps in hot water.
Yeah.
Kind of funny.
Yeah.
Kind of funny. Again, I think Caligula himself did funnier things. Like, people reference him making his horse a senator as a sign of madness. It's actually believed now that it was calculated, and he was doing that to say the senator loses, and a horse could do their job better. So here's a horse as a senator. The other
He's
thing,
just like tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la.
pretty much, yeah. Because the other thing he did once was sitting in a Senate meeting, which he notoriously despised. And in the middle of, a boring conversation about local economics or something along those lines, burst out laughing. And one of the senators said, pardon me, but what's so funny? And he said, I've just realized at a moment's notice I could have you all killed. It's like Caligula was psycho and fascinating in a way that they, again, just don't make use of. You've got, the acid dissolving the Senate, that's funny enough, but, I think there was more meat on the bone of that joke.
Yeah, it does feel like when we get to the particular part of the story that they do just rush through the paces at the end of it, whereas the majority of the episode is, Odysseus, Homer slowly building up his power and Margius or whatever they call it, just manipulating him away.
Majora.
Majora. Majora.
Like the mask. No, I did like the turn where, we know Majora's setting up to have the Emperor killed, and you assume it's so that Odysseus can take over. But no, plot twist, it's the son. Haha.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that.
which again is sort of only to push the story along, and there's none of the characters really feel motivated by much of their it doesn't fully make sense why greed, I get it, but it doesn't really make sense why Odysseus doesn't free his friends. He has wealth. They could be employed. It's just convenient for the story that he does that. It doesn't feel motivated really by him. Or even what Majora says.
Not out of the first point where, he's like, I'm going to free my friends. And she's like, such a brave move of you to take on the work of 4 men when, day in, day out. That works. But after that, you never really get a good, solid reason.
Yeah, 20 years off that one line doesn't really... It's to jump back a little bit just to go to the wackiness. And again, maybe this is age making me long for the old Simpsons, but the thing that I thought would be wacky that I wanted was what the old Simpsons would have done, where they threatened to feed Odysseus to the hippos, and there's that thing of them holding him over the hippo pen, and then they're called off, so they pull him back. I just wanted a close-up on one of the hippos going, that just felt like an old Simpsons.
But look what you did to the hippos.
Yeah.
They were excited.
It's just sad. Yeah.
Although I'm glad it didn't happen 3 years later, because there would have been a Moodang reference in there if it was.
God. No. They're going to do something similar 5 years from now, so they can do the mood.
Yeah, that's it. They'll still be 3 years too late on it.
Yeah.
So did Rome have hippos? I knew they had lions and other exotic animals
They had
in the Colosseum.
just about everything. And
Grab shit from all over the empire.
Yeah, and they sure did stuff them in that big building and watch them kill people.
Yeah, wow. They just got the wrong inspiration from Noah's Ark. We're going to get 2 of every animal.
2 of everything. And watch them fucking murder each other.
See how bad
It's going to be sick.
Yeah, because, I thought they picked hippos because it's an inherently silly animal, but also they will fuck your shit up.
They will fuck your shit up so bad. They kill more people in Africa than lions and crocodiles combined.
Because hippo don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Hippo don't give shits, yeah.
You're between hippo and what hippo want, you die.
Yeah. Yeah, Moodang's cute now. You just wait.
Yeah.
Oh, someone needs to do a horror film
Mood
version of
Dang.
Oh, I'm
Mood Dang, yeah.
sure it's been done.
And I already love all the Warhammer 40,000 references of Moodang of like, Korn cares not from where the blood flows.
Yeah.
And then I've got like minifigs of it.
I really hope there's some, because that I can't remember the name of it, but that famous like micro budget film that came out of Africa, it's maybe South Africa, but there was like Captain someone or other, but he made this movie that was on YouTube, and it's like super low budget, classic sort of quote unquote bad movie, but everyone loves it because it's crazy. And I'm hoping that there's some like, micro budget Ugandan film about like a psycho hippo
Yep.
Yes.
that is basically their Razorback. Like that'd be so sick.
Oh, let's do it. But until then, look, I mean, this is an inherently cartoony, wacky episode, so I'm sure we'll cover more of it.
Yeah.
But how was the heart in this one? Did we feel bumps?
There were intestines.
Yep.
Yeah, look, it's not going for heart, to be fair.
People were bumped off.
Yeah. Hey. I mean, there was a little bit of heart when Homer's courting
Majora.
Majora. Right.
Think
Which,
about the mask.
you went the mask. I went labia. Is that what they're going for? And then it
I am
only occurred to
absolutely
me.
going to remember it
Yeah,
now.
it only occurred to me. Oh, Marge.
But yeah, when he's originally courting her out in the gladiator fields and gets some entrails to spell out "I heart you," that was pretty good. Yeah, very sweet.
Again, I'd kind of like dissociated as just like the violence just struck as so odd. I don't know how to get across. It's like I wasn't upset by any of it. It just was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like in that way that, like the fucking chicken fights in Family Guy just increasingly got like more and more insanely violent to the point where you're like, why are we here?
Yeah.
And that was sort of the thing for me, especially because like if you're referencing the violence of Gladiator, again, that's like your target audience now wasn't born when Gladiator came out. Like, what is this? When did Gladiator 2 come out even?
Last year, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, so it came before that. What are you doing?
Well, I mean, Simpsons has historically in the last 20 years been behind the ball, like seriously.
A touch, yeah.
I mean, you can also say that for the classic era where they were making, giant Citizen Kane references, but also there was still a good show at the heart of that. Like, this one, it feels like, more out of date. But, like, and in terms of heart, like, it's interesting when a Simpsons goes for a tragedy like this, especially where, they don't have, like, even in all the manipulations of the story from the source material, that, they don't choose to put the Simpsons reset back to zero happy ending on it. And, they ended in tragedy with the father and the son dying, and then the mother, oh, the error of my ways, here's my soliloquy, die, and then Lisa's like, hey, I'm here too.
Yeah, because ultimately they're going for that like Shakespearean tragedy. Everyone's dead except for Lisa, and like no one's doing anything for Lisa. But they also then tie that to a sting in the tail of, and the family is still bickering, and people will never stop fighting. They are doing that thing where they're kind of like, well, humanity never learned, but they're also not really like telling us what we're meant to learn from it, or kind of, elevating that beyond just don't be an ambitious woman.
Yeah.
And, again, having the capacity to tie it into modern day American politics, which they do as much of like a joke about how bad 2016 was, like a throwaway joke in the credits about how bad 2016 was. But also it is the makers of this show that by this point has been going on for 32 years, and the actors and writers being paid ludicrous sums of money to do what seems like basically fuck all, lecturing us on greed.
Yeah, that's a solid point, because I did look that up the other day, and like from all estimates, the voice cast are getting like $300,000 each per episode.
Yeah.
And like,
they're the people to tell me that I should feel bad for wanting more.
well, and it hits me especially hard because like we've noticed, especially in recent seasons, that like, I mean, everyone carries on about Julie Kavner, her voice, it's almost old news at this stage, but like Harry Shearer's been dropping the ball lately, and in this one I got my first hint of Dan Castellaneta putting in an effort.
Absolutely.
Because his Quimby, it sounded like Homer half the time.
Well, put it this way, I didn't know that Dan Castellaneta was Quimby until this episode.
Yeah. And especially when he did that song, it was like, that's not your JFK impression. That's, that's your Homer right there. Where were we? Heart. It's a tragedy. It's not going for those
Yeah.
bumps things. But
It's not a feel
But
good.
no, but I think that is going for bumps. Like that's a very valid feeling. Like you're supposed to feel devastated at the end of Macbeth because of look where this has brought them. You don't feel like obviously you don't want to be devastated at the end of an episode of The Simpsons, but you can't even really care about the fact that any of them are dead because they're a fat joke, a psycho, and a a sort of Lady Macbeth archetype that's so thinly drawn as to be one-dimensional. Like
again, the great Roman tale of Macbeth. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
The Roman play.
No, I think the difference is Macbeth has a sense of, one small domino has caused all this chaos and how do we fucking get here? Whereas this has a lot more steps to it of, okay, you got to this point and then you did another thing and then you got to this point and then you did another thing. It's not, one thing led to another and then holy shit.
Yeah, no, it's one parody led us to another parody.
Yep. That's
pretty much.
At least it does give the down the barrel line, but it works of unchecked lust for money and power can ruin a once great nation. Ship.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually, I did want to circle back to that because they present the tragedy and, they do the subvertive where the family are then still arguing at the end of it and they don't tie up their thing. And Michael Palin ends that story off with, this will just keep happening if we keep letting stupid people into museums. And it's like, but we're not, that's what we're leaving it on. Okay.
Yeah, it's like if you don't let stupid people into museums, how do they get less stupid?
Let stupid people into museums.
Exactly. I'll make that t-shirt next. Like,
start the revolution now.
But again, and it's also, tossing it down the line of like, because, stupid people going into museums is the problem. It's like, what are you trying to say?
Yeah, it was
like,
not
what
the
are you trying to
note
say?
to leave it on. It was like, once again, a story from history has fixed nothing.
Like, who is at fault? Is it, the rich ambitious people who are destroying the state, or is it the lazy man who doesn't want to go to a webinar? What are you saying?
You could say it's both, but you kind of need to draw a circle around that a little bit more, I guess.
Or is it underlined many times, women, am I right? There's also that like super lazy, when he like, now I have to marry you, I guess. That cool fun marriage joke about how marriage is a prison. It's like, come on.
That feels very the old style of, take my wife, please. Hey.
Very much, yeah.
Well, and especially because the story was set up that he was infatuated with this woman. Like, and all of a sudden, marriage, exit, stage left. Like, it's so old school and unnecessary. And, like, it doesn't work for the story. Like,
again.
Surprise, it's the middle of the show and I'm doing an ad break. Just a quick reminder to check out Starring Springfield. It's our podcast where we're reviewing the movies that star the cast of The Simpsons, and if you sign up to the Patreon page, you get to tell us what movies we are reviewing. Go check out the links and more in the show notes, but for now, let's get back to the Simpsons Index. But ultimately, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons? These are characters and show we know and love.
Yeah. I guess, yeah.
I mean, it's them doing one of these things, and that feels pretty normal. So.
Yeah, like, it's not the worst version of this that we've seen, and like, as you pointed out when we were going through Disney Plus, Molloy, the next episode after this is Now Museum, Now You Don't, which, if y'all remember out there, is them doing a 3-story thing of like stories about artists from history, where, they do basically Monet, Leonardo da Vinci, and Frida Kahlo. So, it's interesting that they've stacked the episodes like this, and then this one they felt like the need that they couldn't do one of their, like, 3 stories in an episode things. No, this one needed a full fucking episode for this story.
One of the writers took their kids to like a museum that week or the week before and we're just like, fucking, what
Guys, have you ever heard of Rome?
Been thinking about it a lot lately.
You've seen these images they draw, but they don't draw heaps of them and then have people voice over them. They just take one and they stick it on a wall for ages.
They've got an image and they put it on a vase. Now, I don't know if they had someone talking into the vase to do the character voices, but
what is
maybe
that, like
they did.
3D printed or something?
Yeah.
And with so much nudity. Rome loved nudity.
High fidelity pornography.
Yeah.
Look, I did love that when the slaves get taken into Rome for the first time. They're all stunned by the many people and grand vistas and the grand scale of the pornographic art. And I was like, okay, that's
yeah. It's really like there's something incredibly heartening with like, I mean, you go to pretty much any ancient place, but like a long time ago, went to Rome, went to the Colosseum, all that sort of stuff, and you go to these buildings that have been standing for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and embedded in the walls, the other thing that has been standing there for thousands and thousands and thousands of years is someone has carved a dick into it. And it's like, the joke's still good.
Well, yeah, and this one went for a few sex jokes in it as well, which I don't know, it feels like The Simpsons, but I sure laughed at, like, with more power, you can attend great orgies. Ones with women. They have those?
That was a good joke. I like that. Because it was certainly a lot better than I am Sexicus. Like,
That went
was
on
so
a little bit too long.
lame.
Yeah.
Like, and especially, like, saying I had Sexicus, like, it's like, okay, we get the reference. If you just said, I had sex with her, we'd get it.
Yeah.
But yes or no, would you watch this episode again?
Yeah, I reckon so.
You know, like if I was threatened with violence in some other capacity, I guess maybe.
Yeah, gladiatorial pits or this episode, you're...
Honestly, I'm interested to, like, go away, do the research and find out what they're referencing, or if, like, someone's done one of those YouTube things and it's like, here's
surely.
here's this, and this is, like...
Yeah.
There's got to be a 6-hour podcast on the Four Emperors, right? Like, if men are thinking about, like, Rome every other week, then surely someone's done that podcast.
Yeah.
Just a podcast thinking about the Roman Empire.
Yeah. Dude, that would be great. But also, like, honestly, and I know this probably sounds facetious, but it's not at all. One of the things that got me into history as a kid and probably dictated a large amount of my sense of humor was the old books, Horrible Histories. Like, that got me so into that stuff. And it had that kind of, you know, like, silly, gory, stabby kind of, but, like, for a young audience in a way that, you know, sensationalized it and made it silly and made it yucky, but, you know, retained all of this, like, interesting knowledge about the period. So, like, that was such a way in for me.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, from me being more curious about other things because of, like, fandoms of Simpsons or Rush or what have you, where it's like, yeah, I don't have that natural spark to for just being interested in history from the dry facts alone.
Yeah, fair.
I kind of needed it in a package presented some other way to then go, oh, so this is what they're talking about in this thing that I'd like. And kind of same with this episode. And
yeah, well, I was going to say that because one of the others, I also am not in the habit of listening to, you know, hours-long podcasts about history, but I used to listen to Dan, I think it's Dan Carlin.
I was trying to remember his name. Thank you.
I think it's Dan Carlin. He did Hardcore History because his whole thing was like, imagine you're in the trenches. And he, like, his whole thing was to get you into, you know, interested about this subject. I'm going to put you in it, and I'm going to describe the feeling and what you are seeing and what you are hearing. And so, like, making that a visceral experience rather than going, here's what a bunch of people said about the numbers of sheep that were needed to feed the, you know, like all of that sort of, like, more dry stuff. And it's like, yeah, you know, if you want to know about Rome, you want to know about intrigue. You want Game of Thrones. Like, like, that's the way in, for sure.
I mean, to that, I'm going to throw to Oversimplified YouTube channel. I've mentioned it before, but he has a really good one on the Punic Wars Part 1 and 2. I got to the end of the story of, like, the Punic War 2 with Hannibal, and it was one of those stories where I felt out of breath at the end of it because it's, like, so insane. It's like, this happened? Are you fucking kidding?
That story is wild. Yeah. Like, every detail of it is so crazy. It feels like one of those things that, you know, it feels almost like the Odyssey in the sense that, like, it feels like someone could have made this up. But it happened.
Oh, an insanely wild story. Hugely recommend that if you want to dig some more Roman history.
Yeah. Oh, Oversimplified it great. But what would you like to change about this episode? BT, we'll start with you.
I mean, a little more focus, I guess. Like, I don't have the historical reference to know how many points we're pulling from, but, you know, obviously there is a bit of it feels a little too widespread and everything's kind of shoved into the tail end of this one. But I don't have too many, like, other than small moments, I don't have too much in the broad spectrum to fix. I think maybe the biggest one is just going to be, keeping away from, ambitious women, isn't that a problem? But, like, putting that in the scope of, you know, over-ambition is a problem, under-ambition is a problem, giving just, you know, people born into power is a problem. There are a lot of things that you can say. There's no one thing that causes this situation. It's a lot. And just kind of point to all of them. And I think that's almost there with the family arguing at the end. But it just needs to, again, be circled a little bit better. Be like, everything is the problem. It's not one single cause.
Yeah.
How about you, David? What would you like to change?
I think, to your point, Lisa would have really fixed that situation. Is bring Lisa in and have her be the bumps. You know, have her be the moral integrity of the family that everyone's ignoring because that is her job.
That's her thing. That's what she does.
That's a whole role in the show. Once again, no Maggie. Just doesn't exist. Yeah. I don't care for it. And I think to not just paint myself as the angry nerd who knows a few things and is like, why didn't they do it like it was in history? I think my approach from it is, rather than going off what you already know from Gladiator and Spartacus and blah, 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 these other things we've mentioned, and, you know, piecing together a rough idea of the place that you're trying to set this in, why not just read a Wikipedia page? Like, you don't need to have a doctorate. You just need a base level, because then also when you go to that base level, it will start taking you off into different avenues. You go, wait, who's this guy Claudius? Who's this guy Caligula? And you start to do the bit of research. Honest to God, I think the episode would have just fallen into place, because they would have landed on all of these insane, ridiculous things that would have made for easy fodder for Simpsons jokes and a more interesting storyline that we haven't seen done 50 times before on this show.
Yeah. And yeah, I think my only note of change is I just wish the wraparound was a bit more solid. And I think that they hit on an interesting thing here where at the start of the episode, Bart is just like wandering around the museum trying to look up the skirts, trying to kick the guys, you know, being the destructive little... being Bart.
Being a little Bart boy.
But then as the story gets told in the second act, he's like, history rules. Like, I feel like at the heart of that, there is a way more like interesting story of like getting Bart engaged with this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then...
Because 100% that was me.
Yeah.
It was like, this place is boring. I don't want to be here. Wait, what's this? Sword's cool.
No, I mean, same with me. It's just like, oh, history's boring. I'm going to listen to this metal song. Did you know that in 1890? It's like, what happened in 1890 something? Like,
Tell
you
me
know,
more, Iron Maiden.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're talking, like Phil's friend, you said, who like passed a history exam because he remembered the song Alexander the Great from Iron Maiden.
That rules so hard.
Yep. Also, it's another good podcast name of, wait, swords? Cool.
Yeah. I think in another life, arguably in this life, I'm a sword lesbian. Like, at heart.
We're all deep down sword lesbians.
Great game. I hope to play that one day. Our friends Roltercast did a Thirsty Sword Lesbians live show. It was very, very good.
I think the other thing I would fix about the show in general right now is just remove all self-awareness, because self-awareness is supposed to allow you to reflect on what you do and grow from it, and you know, poke fun at yourself with a certain element of, you know, removing your self-seriousness, but it also allows you to evolve. And this show is the quintessential stagnant pool, and the self-awareness is just Family Guy style meta jokes that don't work. And so to do that thing of saying, this is the structure of our episode, and that's a joke now, and also here's the moral of our episode, but that's a joke because you've been watching The Simpsons for 30 plus years and you know our format. Like, none of that benefits the episode in any way. It's not funny, it's not insightful, it's just strip it back and just be stupid again. Like, it's fine to be a stupid funny show. The Simpsons is allowed to be that.
Yeah, and like the meta joke of, oh yeah, this show sucks now, it went downhill in season 2016. Yeah, I get, like, it's both a meta joke about the world and The Simpsons, but also at the same time, like, it's a damning indictment when you admit, oh yeah, people think we're a sucky show now, like, and we've gotten stagnant.
And they admit it frequently.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%.
Which is crazy to do.
And now it's time for our final notes.
Oh, how do I do this in Latin? Shit, I should have looked that up.
Well, why didn't I bring Jordan on this episode?
Finalis notus nauis.
I no longer as fucking as carers.
All right. PT, we'll start with you. What are your final notes?
Look, the banner out the front of the museum when they have the Roman exhibition is just blood honor vases. Like, yeah.
Not bad. How about you, Molloy?
I've got a few, actually, because, you know...
Yeah, we'll go around the circle.
Yeah, I assume this was a circle one rather than...
Yeah, cool, okay. Nice little circle jerk to wrap it off. You know, going back on my general negativity on this, I do think, like, there were good jokes in here that made me laugh.
I got a few up arrows I'm going to get to.
I thought, like, you know, Obesius being Mr. Plow himself. It's like, that's all right. Okay,
that was one of those ones where I was actually trying hard not to laugh, and I'm doing that thing where, like, I'm smiling heaps and I'm going, nah, that's stupid.
It is stupid, but that's fine.
But
like,
it was very good.
Because also, it wasn't labored. They just made the joke and moved on. And it's like, that's great. I'll take that. I will take that. My standout joke from the entire episode, my favorite one, because it's just great, is the women wanted him, men wanted to be kissed by him. Yeah. Like, that's great. That's a great joke.
Wait, was it kissed or killed? I thought it was killed.
I think it was... Oh, okay. If it was killed, it's not as good.
Yeah.
I thought it was men wanted to be kissed by him. It's like, that's perfect. That's such a good joke.
I mean, I hope it is. I want to be wrong.
Oh, yeah. Punch in, Elliot. What was it?
It was killed. Also, listen to Starring Springfield.
Okay, yeah, here's a down arrow. Because, yeah, I actually liked the fight at the start with Homer and Renier Wolfcastle where, like, he was using his ox skills to win the battle.
Yeah.
But then immediately that's dropped. And then I was like...
Then he's just a good fighter.
Yeah, and and like, okay, I can get that sort of story progression if you're doing the gladiator thing and not, like, you have to eventually get some fighting skills. But then I thought at the end when it's like Homer versus Bart, there was a real opportunity to bring it in and then like him have the ox skills, like but no, it was
just a fat joke.
It was just fat jokes.
Yeah.
It was so disappointing.
He is fighting someone who's like not had that hard upbringing.
Yeah.
All right. Homer's line of "I want more. I just don't want to do anything to get it." I'm like, ooh, I'm in this episode and I don't like it.
Yeah. I think there's a good overall use of the side characters in that way that, you know, they're not trying to wrap an episode or any depth around Willie. They make a passing joke with Willie and move on. I think they use those characters great. The guy who's like, "Man, you chunks are no fun." Like, great bit. Or the guy that's like, you know, manacled to the wall.
Oh, Jasper. MVP
Jasper.
of this episode.
So
man.
I love my job. Like, so good because he's manacled to the wall watching them have sex, both in the prison cell when they first have it and then later when they live in a
the
mansion.
implication just being like, "I will bring this guy along."
Yeah. That's his job. Like,
no further inspection needed on the joke. No further investigation. It's a great throwaway
that
gag.
cracked the whole room.
Yeah, no, wonderful. So is it something that we haven't touched on with the episode? Is this true about the whole they used to make ammonia by harvesting piss?
Yep.
To do their laundry?
Yep.
Wow.
Just assume,
how resourceful.
Just assume that most things before maybe the late 1800s in some way involved piss on you.
Wow.
Like, piss had to be on you in some capacity.
Yeah. You know how they blonde bleached hair?
Piss.
No.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Piss and sunlight, baby.
So, Molloy,
Dude, there was an entire period in history where the fashionable thing to do was get cholera. Like, because it made you thin. And everyone was like, damn, look at this Tim Burton bitch. Like,
it's like, have you heard about this guy? He's got gout. He must be wealthy. Gout was sought after.
Oh, but it's like when people say, "Oh my God, watched a movie from the 90s and everyone's smoking. It's so bad." What were the movies from these days? Just everyone's pissing on it.
I watched a movie from the 1200s and it was a jug.
Oh my God, girl, I love your hair. Thanks. I get the best piss. I'll get you my piss guy.
High quality piss. Also, they didn't refer to it as liquid gold. Come on, Writer's Room.
Like, there were a lot of piss jokes.
They did. Like,
liquid assets beginning to flow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they thought to put the jugs outside bars and what was that?
Crowdsourcing a streaming service.
Yeah, again, sucks. Because it's one of those, all of the best jokes in this episode are dumb, and they're dumb and funny.
Yeah.
And then there's a thing like that that's trying to be clever and witty, and you go, stop.
Yeah.
This is above your pay grade.
Yeah.
And I mean, that also reminded me of the South Park special recently where they did the streaming wars, and it was such a labored metaphor to involve, like, they were doing like little boat races with streaming, and it was so confused and didn't fucking land. Anyway.
That's it, because the core of that joke is a lame pun.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, at least this is better because it's a passing joke and not an entire multiple episode thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, great example is Mr. Burns saying, "Oh, what if this politician has an accident, like, say, lands on his back on a knife?" And Homer's like, "Oh, I did that once. Sucked." Like, that rules. That's such a good joke.
Yeah. And that was delivery as well. Just sucked.
Yep. Just early line where they just have, "Once again, bickering in public has gotten us free therapy."
Yeah.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Oh, what does Marge say when she's like, you know, you could have taken this business somewhere, but instead you're...
Foaming it in.
Does she say foaming it in?
Yeah. Because piss.
Hair?
Piss foam, I guess. It is a stretch.
Hair?
Of all the piss jokes.
It was piss week, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
who's
she could
the
have been
other...
like, "You're just pissing it away." "No, I'm not. That's the problem."
Who's the other Italian... Oh, there's a good one they missed. The other Italian stereotype
Oh,
character.
Luigi, yeah.
I
he was-
only consider you scum compared to Krusty. Like, have him do that accent and everyone be like, "Whoa, that's... you can't do that, man." Like,
Actually, yeah, I'll give this episode credit for not doing the bad thing because there are so many times where Simpsons do these, like, history episodes and they're like, "Do the accent, Yardley Smith."
Oh.
And it does not not work.
Yeah, to be fair, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, because like in that Now Museum, Now You Don't, it's Leonardo da Vinci and she's doing like this Italian affectation the whole time and it is not good. I did love the line about Homer talking about, my wife's manipulative, my son's gone mad, my daughter's not a son. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
That's a good one as well.
I was like, another good, quick Passover one was, the slave friend's like, hey, you can let us free? And he's like, look, I've crunched the letters. It's not a good financially. I'm
Yeah.
like, crunch the letters. Okay.
that was a good drive-by. I liked that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was glad it drove by.
Yeah.
I know, to dwell on it would have been terrible. But yeah, as a driver, like, all right, I got you.
I thought the one sort of like modern day reference they made that actually landed and that made us all laugh was like, oh, you know what those Christians are like with their war on Saturnalia? Like, that's good.
I've just got them. Note, milk. It's like when Mo was milking the donkey for the donkey milk bath and just saying milk.
Yeah, and your partner walked into the room and tapped you on the shoulder and was like, you like that one? And I was like, what am I missing?
Just something in the tone of how he says it is great. He's like,
she just saw in my face that this is...
you being like, I'm not going to laugh at this, but I'm laughing at this.
Yeah.
Look, the war on Neptune was funny. The soldiers just attacking the ocean.
Yeah.
Also, Abe kissing the ox in the,
Yeah.
mwah, mwah, mwah.
like
Classic old
kissing the
Simpsons
top
stuff.
of Hans Moleman's
That's
head.
it, yeah.
It's just like a
That
peanut.
playlist. He's gone mad with power and syphilis.
Yeah.
Very good.
I'm thrilled that my last note is just moon flaps.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Again, didn't land for me.
Homer just not just the phrasing is Homer just moons Emperor Bart and Bart's like, put away your moon flaps. It's like just the idea of calling them moon flaps.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
It's like I get the basis of the joke. Didn't work for me. I'm glad you got something out of it.
I didn't laugh out loud at it, but I'm like,
Yeah, I didn't
Moon
expect
flaps.
moon flaps.
Yeah.
Like, because
of all the things to call it.
Well,
never
because at
heard
the
that
moment
one.
I thought, talking about muddying this episode, I'm like, is this now a Braveheart reference in here? But then they tied it off with moon flaps. I don't think they said that.
I'm
going to
make the of all things, the dad in the room is going to make the goddamn Bluey reference. There's a point in a Bluey episode where Bandit talks about a bottomless bowl of ice cream, and his daughter Bingo goes, "Heh, bottomless," and that's exactly the response. Like, my last note then, I think I was confused by what accent, speaking of accents, what accent they were trying to do on the song in Latin. I don't know, again, what they were going for there. But the actual last note that I had was just, come on, you figs.
That's right. Oh, then he says that to P-Man as he... Yeah,
Sucked so bad.
Yep.
and then, my final note is... Another clarification. So Bart fully has the wrist knife, which I only know from Assassin's
Creed, yeah.
Is this historical? Did this actually exist then?
I mean, probably. I don't know if it's a Roman thing specifically.
Yeah, well, you could imagine there'd be some version of it, surely, but yeah.
Ezio was Roman, so
Yeah. Yeah, anyway.
famous historical figure
Yeah,
Ezio
Auditore. Learn about him in your local library.
Yeah. I did the stab.
I'll stab you.
I stab you. I jump off of the building.
Oh, man, Teresa's playing Assassin's Creed Shadows right now, and oh, man, I want to play that. It looks so good.
Now let's all do that accent.
It's time to rank this thing. On the Simpsons Index, we rank using a 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. Maybe if the episode was just meh, you give it a participant. But for the positive rankings, you got okay bronze, good silver, excellent gold. But for the best of the very best, you give cubic zirconia. Oh, and I missed a chance to do. We rank using a VI point scale. Oh, well.
Damn.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah, and now I didn't miss it. Neither will you.
And we're all lesser for it.
I'll go first. Let me show you how it's done. Look, big old bronze for me for this one. It's God, do I want to sell it? Because it was fairly funny, but it's just. It honestly just sits in that bronze category for it, where I had a fine enough time with it. And yeah, I'm not going to be thinking about it too much. Is I guess where I'm landing. BT.
I feel like I'm going to surprise the room by saying I'm going to go silver.
Okay.
Because ultimately, look, big difference I think here is I don't have enough historical context to be annoyed about any of the references.
Ignorance is bliss.
I'm just enjoying the story, and I kind of like this. Well, maybe it's also because I expected to go in having a bad time. But yep, look, I enjoyed the story, and there were some really good jokes. We all got a laugh, and some of those jokes are just delivery. I like
fully,
the ones that on paper this is boring, but the delivery of them saves so many of them. So yeah, I had a good time with this.
And David, please finish it off.
Yeah, I'm struggling on the rating because I don't want to be like, history nerd doesn't like a Simpsons history episode because, again, it shouldn't be about accuracy. It should just be like missed opportunities.
Yeah, but I mean, if that's your take on it, then we always say follow your heart.
Yeah, and I think my heart... Yeah, I think my heart probably will let the jokes carry it to a bronze. Just kind of going off the vibe of like what I've given a participant in the past. That sort of is what's taking me there, because it does feel like it was funnier.
I think if nothing else, you can say there's more effort on display here than with a lot of them.
Yeah, for sure.
And coherency.
And I think the reason that it's at the bottom of that, of the good sort of Simpsons episodes, is because you can also see the distinction between where they've put in the effort and where they haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, that bumped me up, honestly. I'm putting it as silver now.
Oh, no, don't do that. Because then you're taking my part of the bell curve further along.
No, honestly, because I'm looking at just brought up the spreadsheet, the other episodes from this season that did get a dull silver, and I'm like, fuck, it is actually on par with those. So yeah, it is now equal first for the season 32 with Undercover Burns, where Mr. Burns dresses up in a David Harbour outfit and goes undercover.
Bizarre concept, but I remember, we had a pretty good time with it.
I think that's a rare one where it didn't stick the landing, but we still liked the episode. Yeah. Right. And then the last bar fighter, where they basically just do John Wick with Mo, and it's somehow a good episode.
That actually does sound fun.
Yeah. I think it's the last episode of the season, and it's
him
a
just
bit of fun.
Whipping people with towels.
Yeah,
his bar rags and just.
On it, actually, just thinking about that, I think it actually puts it on par with Simpsons Bible stories, which we've referenced a few times. Which I think we were like, the episode's good. It just wasn't as good as I remember. Yeah, dull silver. How about that?
There we go.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Always a pleasure.
Have you got stuff on the internet to plug, or?
Yeah, you can check out my website. It's ironymarkfilms.com. I'll probably be changing the actual URL at some point in the near future to just reflect my own name. But that's what it is at the moment, and that's kind of like a home of everything I do and have done.
Awesome. Oh, and did the cat game come out?
It did, yes. Copycat's doing quite well, so you can get that on Steam. It's been... really responded to very beautifully and warmly by the audience, so I really recommend it. I'm very, very proud of my contribution to that. So yeah, Copycat is out now on Steam.
Awesome. All right, well, links to all that and more in the show notes, including what we're up to, BT.
Yes, you can jump on the podcast you're currently listening to and search for Starring Springfield, which is the other podcast we do where we review movies that star the cast of The Simpsons. So we have just a massive variety on that. It is wild, some of the places we go. I think we just dropped The Legend of Billie Jean.
Yeah.
That was one I'd never heard of. And if you want to hear, Yardley Smith swear, you can go there. You can listen.
You sure can. Actually, you know what? Why not? I'll do a preview of it now. And yeah, I'm also posting clips of the movies on TikTok if you want to follow us there on Starring Springfield. It's just a bit of fun, but also a format of media that I'm not very good at. So apologies for that. But here's a small clip from The Legend of Billie Jean.
You won't bring it back.
How do you know?
Because he's a fucker, that's how I know. She always talks like that.
I want it to be more Lisa.
Yeah. But yeah, it's her second ever film role, and it's been really interesting seeing the Simpsons cast like this. And
how they came up in the world and all kinds of weird shit.
But yeah, we get to do a mix of obscure films, fucking absolute stone cold classics. We got Taxi Driver coming up in a couple of weeks.
Oh, who's in that?
Albert Brooks.
Oh, sure.
In his first ever film role as well.
There you go.
Yeah, and then we just do baffling fucking crap I think it's in a couple of weeks. Yeah, Rhapsody Street Kids Believe in Santa, which is this CGI film from the year 2000 that Nancy Cartwright was an executive producer and voice actor on.
Not known for her, quality judgment.
Oh, man. Still just a baffling movie.
Yeah. I mean,
but it's a beautiful opportunity to see these people who we've seen do the same shit for 30 years actually have range. Oh my God, they're actors.
Who would have thought?
Well, yeah, that's the character that she's playing in that.
I think I played that game when I was 10.
Oh, it is. It looks like
it's fucking Twinson's Odyssey.
Yeah, it looks like it's been rendered in a PS1 and animated in those like very early Carell programs. It is and it's like one of the rare movies that we can say, yeah, you can watch this on YouTube. It's 40 minutes of your time, and it's just like, yeah, join us on the podcast as we try and dissect what the fuck we just saw.
Yeah, big what the fuck energy. But also, you know, if you were like, hey, I enjoyed that recommendation of Oversimplified, I paused the episode immediately and went and watched it. Where else can I find out things you guys recommend? Patreon.com/SideQuest where we also have the podcast So Do You Like Stuff, where we talk about the stuff we like. Also, there's 200 other podcasts, but
Woo! Yeah, and
I should have breathed more.
So yeah, every month we just talk about stuff we like, and we also release episodes of Starring Springfield ahead of time. You sign up to the Patreon, you get to tell us what movies we're reviewing for Starring Springfield. Yes, people told us to review those movies. AlmightyK made us review.
AlmightyK!
My favorite thing to do is to tell people to watch movies.
Anyway, that's a lot of stuff we're doing. Go check out the info, more links in the show notes, all that good jazz. David Molloy, thank you once again for joining us.
Very welcome.
BT, thank you as always.
You know what? You chunks are fun.
And I, have been Elliot Jay O'Neill. That's all the mustard in Rome. Mustard!
You know it's made out of piss.
See how timely the Kendrick reference is? I could be a Simpsons writer.
Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. We're also on social media. You can follow us on Blue Sky, Instagram, and on Threads. Links for all that and more are down in the show notes. Lastly, please consider giving us a 5-star review on the podcasting app of your choice. If you had a podcast, we'd give you a 5-star review. And now please stay tuned for the bonus scenes!
Also, like, in very timely fashion, I've got you cold open if you want it. Which would just be basically, this is the forward sell that I've got a thing that, like, can wrap the episode that may ruin my voice more than it's already been ruined by being sick.
Oh.
Especially if you're going to rap.
But the kids will...
That's what it means.
Well, you're not far off.
You want me to lay down a beat?
Not far off. But otherwise, yeah. Could someone describe what I'm wearing?
It is a white T-shirt with a crude drawing of one Bart Simpson.
Crude?
And it's an interpretation, we'll put it that way. Artistic interpretation of one Bart Simpson.
And the quote on the shirt says, "No tengo la vaca."
Yes, which of course is extremely accurate Spanish for I don't have the cow. And the only reason I bring this up is because I also have one for each of you.
Oh!
Plot twist.
I was wondering
also,
what he brought in the bag.
In your description, Elliot, you did skip over the flame decal Converse high tops, which...
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
That's just
the picture
she's
of
living.
the whole
you know?
outfit. Oh, awesome. Oh, thank you so much.
There you go. With
man.
this legally distinct small boy of a rude temperament.
That's like his Tamu description.
Yeah. Spike child.
Yellow cartoon man. Oh, awesome.
So was it, I do not have cow?
I don't have the cow. Yeah. I mean, I guess soy tango would be more accurate, but like my point was that like Pam, my partner, knows like a little bit more Spanish than I do. And I was like, is this accurate? She said, no. I was like, good.
Yeah, I had bet on that.
Yeah, exactly. She said, it'd be more accurate to say this. And, it's like, and that's why I'm saying this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much, man.
No worries. I mean, the last time, I've already mentioned it, but like one of the last times I came here, like BT gave me a beautiful children's book for my son, which was wonderful. And is read.
I have another one for my other nephew. I'll get you a copy of that.
Very cool. Very cool.
It's about a bear that smells real bad.
I want to pay you for that because I feel like you should be. Like, yeah, no.
Published author, man.
Yeah, like...
Published at Office Works does not count.
Yes, it does. But also, like, having read a lot of children's books recently, it's a fucking banger. It's a good one. Take that as the pull quote to put on this. Like, a fucking banger.
This kid's book is a fucking banger, mums and dads.
Man, Bluey really rips ass. Hey?
It does.